This content is for kids.
It's not for kids.
Isn't that what I said?
No, it's not for kids. If you are 13 years or younger, this is not for you. Do I have to kill somebody in order to actually make that point across?
No, man, you don't have to kill
Wait
no
a
one.
second.
Oh, no.
We return to our planet. The High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings and welcome to another episode of SeptumSin versus the world. I'm SeptumSin, and of course I have a bunch of people with me today because we're going to be doing a special video game pickup. Jake has told me repeatedly that he doesn't really play video games. He kind of, sort of doesn't really care for them for the most part. So every time I would get a video game pickup, he'd be like, So I just stopped doing them. So now they're all like piled up. I want to get them out of the way with people who actually play video games occasionally. So we've got Ron here, who's been with Inside Movies Galore and Delusions of Grandeur, and of course the person in charge of that, Dave Streggy. And of course, we have Dustin from Crypt of Horrors, which also thank you for coming on.
Hello.
And I know you said you had something to show off, so why don't I start with you? Hold on, let me get this format changed around a little bit. Now we'll put you center stage. There you are.
Hi, so I have a couple of, I have a new pickup and an old pickup that's also something that's a bit exotic.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get started. So a few weeks ago, the Evil Dead game came out, and I was lucky enough to nail one of the collector editions for that. Sorry about the mess over there. I did not realize that was visible on camera. Ignore that. You see nothing over here. Anyway, so the collector edition for the Evil Dead game was a very large bundle of stuff that you got. It comes in a pretty big box. I'm going to do my own video on this, so I'm considering this a dry run for that video. It's a 12 by 12. It's a little bit over a 12 by 12 box. So the pre-orders for this sold out pretty quick. I was lucky to get this because somebody I met on Twitter had actually bought one for my system and one for PS5. Like, they weren't sure if they were going to be able to get... They preferred PS5, but they didn't know if they were going to be able to find a PS5. And then they found a PS5, and so the Xbox was a spare. And I commented on a thread, it's like, oh no, I missed the collector edition. And then they DM'd me, it's like, hey, I'll sell you my collector edition for not too much of a markup. Like, just pay me, like, the shipping. So I got this for, well, I'm not going to say how much I got it for, but I certainly didn't pay the eBay price. And anyway, so it comes with a great deal of stuff, starting with a shirt, which I haven't opened yet, but the shirt is exclusive to the Evil Dead Collector Edition. And then opening up the box, which is actually a relatively cheap cardboard box, or at least it feels cheap. I just now noticed the groovy on the inside. So the box comes with the game, which the disc is actually in my system right now. It comes with a steelbook case for the game, which I believe is exclusive to this edition. And eventually that's going to go on the shelf along with my Evil Dead 4K steelbooks, so it'll match, because I have Evil Dead 1 and 2 steelbook set, and I have the Ash vs. Evil Dead steelbooks, so it'll all match, it'll all look nice. Army of Darkness does not come in a 4K steelbook to my knowledge. There was a steelbook, but it wasn't 4K. So And the first kind of extra it comes with are these sort of like postcards with stuff from just the series. So it's a little weird to me there isn't an even number, but oh well. Unless the guy... So when I got this, it had been opened because there's no indicator on the outside of these which system it's for. So the guy opened it to see which one was which. Or at least that's the story he told me. So hopefully he didn't swipe one of these. But I trust the guy. So these are all the art cards it comes with. There's nothing on the back. There's a lot of stuff in this box, so this is probably going to take like a little bit. So plus I want to give you guys like a good view of it all. So if this is a little bit more involved than Septum usually gets, yeah, that's why. So then we take that out. And it came with an Art of Evil Dead art book, which this is an actual, like, serious art book. I don't know how many pages it is, but it's a substantial book. And it's got quite a lot in here. So there's probably a couple of weeks worth of reading in here, honestly. So I'm kind of impressed by the heftiness of it, because as far as I know, you only get this in this collector edition. So another cool thing is it shows the upcoming DLC map, Castle Kandahar from Army of Darkness, which is not in the game yet, but it's coming. So I'm looking forward to reading through this. I'm trying to check to see here. For some reason I expected it to be like a Titan Books kind of thing, because usually they do. They're the company that does the books like this for games and movies and such. So that might get its own standalone release. It might not. I don't know. This is the apology letter that they sent, because this is supposed to come with a vinyl soundtrack of the game's, well, soundtrack. But of course, it's like, oh, we couldn't get it printed in time, you know. So instead, there's a download voucher in here for a digital soundtrack, and they say that they're going to send you the vinyl at some point this year. So I have to hope that the person I bought it from actually follows through and sends me my copy of that when they do send it to him, because there was no way to like change the address or anything after he had ordered it. But he included the letter because I asked for it and I wanted it to be as complete as possible. One bonus, though, was that the digital soundtrack has a few more tracks that didn't fit on the vinyl soundtrack. So, something. Just a foam piece here. Speaking of the vinyl soundtrack, this is what they put in the box in place of that soundtrack. This is basically just the cover art for the record. And on the back is the download code, which I already used, so don't bother. And it also came with this 24x36 poster, which I'm going to attempt to unfold without tearing it up, of art for the game. Let me see if you can... This is actually quite difficult. Get down there, God damn it. There we go.
It is cool.
Yeah, that is a nice poster there.
Yeah, and on the back, if I ever put it up, this is the side I'll put up. Trying not to crash it into too many things. On the back, it has maps of the game maps, which is actually pretty useful. So these are the actual in-game maps as they are in the game. So having this on the wall, like as you're playing a match, would probably be pretty useful. So I might actually hang it up like that. Problem is, where exactly would it go? You know, because it's not small. It's, as you can see, quite large.
Now you play. I know you've played a number of these kind of games, like Dead by Daylight, the Friday the 13th, and others. So how does this compare to some of those?
I would say this is more well thought out than Dead by Daylight. Like, the balance is absolutely better, like, without question.
Fight
and
exactly. Move through, so it's not quite as... I mean, you're still kind of outclassed by the baddie, but the fact that you can fight back is kind of cool.
You can do a lot of damage to the demon, too. Because the way the demon controls is more... I've heard the demon compared to like a real-time strategy game, because a lot of the demon gameplay is laying traps and just messing with the survivors. Like, it's a while before you're powerful enough to like manifest and actually attack anybody directly. And that's how they maintain balance. It's kind of a long explanation, but it works very well. So you can spawn in like basic enemies or elite enemies and possess them and like attack survivors directly, but survivors for the most part are pretty strong and can kill those guys without too much difficulty. And you can spawn in a boss character that is a lot more difficult for them to kill at a much greater cost. So it's really good. I'm very, very happy with it.
That was pretty cool. I'm going to throw in a couple of things myself to move through. Got a lot of stuff to
Well, I have
into.
one more.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
And this is an older pickup, but with Stranger Things having its new season release, this is also somewhat relevant. I picked this up at some point last year. This is the Nightmare edition of Dead by Daylight, which... I've owned Dead by Daylight since 2017, and I've bought every DLC like the day it released. But what's special about the Nightmare Edition is that this has the Stranger Things DLC on it. And what's important to note about that is that the Stranger Things DLC, they lost the license to Stranger Things, so you can't buy it digitally anymore. So if you want the Stranger Things DLC, and you didn't buy it back when they had the license, the only way for you to get it is to have a direct download key from Steam, or to have this disc, the Nightmare Edition, and install the DLC from this disc. What you would think would make this really valuable. So far, I don't actually know the value of this. Like, I don't know if it's like $60 on eBay or something. I do know that when they lost the license for Stranger Things a year or two ago, suddenly this got pulled from every shelf, and you could only find it used at GameStop. So I ran out and got like a copy of it right away. And I've had people test it, and if you didn't have the Stranger Things DLC and you installed it from the disc, you can still play the Demogorgon, Steve and Nancy. Like, so it does work, and that is something important to note. So if you want Stranger Things in Dead by Daylight, and you didn't buy it when you had the chance and they had the license, you can still get it if you have this disc.
Yeah, they pulled that license from everything out there. I mean, they had like some of the Stranger Things games and stuff like that just disappear from the digital stores.
Well, it's because they wanted. Netflix made a Candy Crush clone of Stranger Things, and they wanted to market that. And everyone hates it. Nobody likes it. Nobody plays it. And they pulled Stranger Things from every game that had a tie-in with to promote that. Nobody's happy about it.
Everything has a Candy Crush clone.
If you see an advertisement for that, tell them to put curse words in the comment section. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I actually played a little bit of the Stranger Things 3 game that came out a while back, and it was relatively fun for what it was. Well, thank you for showing off those. Those were pretty cool.
Yeah, no problem.
So actually, I'm going to throw on a couple. I know Dave had brought some too, but once I'm done with these, right before I hit those NES ones, I'll come over to you, Dave. But I have got here one game that I went ahead and I got. It had been a long time coming because I liked the game. I played it on Game Pass, and I heard that they had a few improvements on the PS5 version. So when I found it for under 20, I went ahead and I picked up the medium. I admit, when I first played this game, I thought, well, I've played it once, that's all I need. But I found myself after a couple months liking to return to it. It's by the same studio that did, what was that one? The horror game about the artist. I cannot think of what they did. They did Observer, Layers of Fear. And they did that Blair Witch game.
What type of game is it?
So it's a survival horror-esque game. It's not very combat-oriented, but does have a lot of stealth sections. It has sections where you can use your psychic powers in defense. The cool thing about this is you play as a medium, and you're half in the real world and sometimes half in the spirit world. And you can sometimes switch between the two to do various things and solve puzzles throughout the game world. It keeps a very creepy atmosphere. I've heard that this team might be on a Silent Hill type project, and if this game is any indicator, they definitely have the feel of it art-wise. You go in through this, you get this strange message from somebody after your foster father dies, and you go to this old, like, kind of Eastern European, I guess, communist era hotel that's been abandoned, and some strange, like, horrific event happened there, and you kind of unlock that and a lot of the torment and craziness there. It is an excellent game. I do look forward to playing through it again. It doesn't take long to go through it, and it's enjoyable. Have any of y'all heard of this? Actually, Dustin, have you heard of this one? I mean, I know you have an Xbox.
I have not heard of that, no.
It's off of Game Pass now, but it's if you see it for cheap, it's actually worth it if you like something horror-like. It's not very fast-paced, but darned if it's not awesome. I mean, the creature in this, when it hunts you down, it is just nerve-wracking when it's going after you.
I typically play as the creature in horror games, so I think the last game I played like that was Alien Isolation, which is excellent, and you should play that if you haven't already.
Oh, it is excellent. So this next one, these three are going to be Xbox games. I went ahead and I picked up Code Vein because it was cheap. I may eventually hit the DLC. I'm so into the Dark Souls-esque games, and this is kind of a Souls-born game with anime-style models about a bunch of anime vampires in a kind of ruined city world and it does have a pretty cool looking character creator. I am kind of lukewarm onto it, and if it wasn't as cheap as it was, I probably wouldn't have gotten it. But it's harder to find, from what I've heard, it's going to be harder to find the physical copy, so I had to get a hold of it because I will eventually want to check it out. I have a love-hate for it. Like, I've been playing Elden Ring a lot, but I'm taking a break from it because it's kind of just worn me to the point where I'm just like, I need to take a break. I'll come back to it eventually, but it does that to you.
Yeah, I've been doing that with Ark lately. Like, I just came back to Ark. My goal is to finish all of the maps before Ark 2 releases at some point at the end of this year, early next year. And I have, like, I think 8 maps left, and it takes at least 2 months to finish a map. So it's like, gotta get moving.
My goodness. Now, this one, actually, I know that you would recognize, Dustin, because I bought it off of you, and that is Quantum Break.
My brother recommended that to me, and I just never had the time to touch it.
I mean, I'm not... I wanted to check this out because I really liked Alan Wake, and I sort of like the other game that they did. Oh, gosh. Control. And I've heard that they're doing a sequel to it. Me and my wife are currently playing through Alan Wake together. They did that remaster. And it's rather fun, though. There has a glitch that we're trying to figure out how to fix on the Xbox where the cutscenes in later chapters have no sound. So we're trying to figure out how to work through that. I've been on forums. I've seen solutions for PC and for PlayStation, but none for the Xbox. So go figure.
It's a pretty major glitch.
But I did enjoy Alan Wake for some. I mean, I finished 5 of the 6 chapters, so I will be finishing that game sometime soon. But this one I do look forward to just, breaking into and enjoying. I've heard it's more of an interactive movie than a game, or a little bit of both. I want to say they even planned a TV series around this, but it just didn't do as well as it should have. Another one I got for cheap, which I forget what the little Sonic plushie that came with this was, but I went ahead and I got Sonic Colors Ultimate. I have not been in on the 3D Sonic games at all. I've heard that they did pretty well, but I heard this was one of the better ones. Any of y'all play any 3D Sonic?
I have not.
I haven't played Sonic since Sega Genesis, so
I played the Sonic one that they came out with a while back that was a harken back to the original. I don't think I played any 3D. I think this is one of the few 3D games that got critically loved and was loved by players, so they did a redo of it. And I've heard that they had sort of an adventure Sonic game that was Sonic Adventure, I think it was, that was also well liked on the Dreamcast. But how's that there? Now, Dave, you said that you might have had it looked like you had a couple that you had there. Did you want to show off a few, or?
I can show off a few now, and I'll save the best for last.
Okay.
I have a stack here of Xbox One games. One of them is from you, which I haven't tried it on the Xbox One system because I have been playing PlayStation 4, and eventually I'll switch out. But you sent me a copy of Outer Worlds, so I wanted to give a shout out to you and tell you thank you. And I will check this out on the system eventually. It's just PS4 seems to be my system right now. And
That's
Dustin,
you said didn't you say you tried it and you didn't like it that much at first?
Well, I had to get into it first, and right now I've set that aside for right now because it's a game you have to really come back to, These are 3 that I picked up from Dustin from Crypt of Horrors. of Xbox One that I just haven't gotten around to yet, but I will in due time. First one being Deadpool.
Oh, that's a fun one. I played halfway through it, and it was fun.
Next one being Batman: The Telltale series. And Prey.
I've heard good things about both of those two. I have not played either one. Prey, I recall it being hard. I remember dying in that. I played the demo for Prey, but it was fun. From what it looked fun, it looked cool, like space stuff.
And because I'm like always like 2 systems behind you guys in everything, Dustin just so happened to have the game that you were always talking about, called Alice Madness Returns.
Oh, that's
this
a
is
fun
like
one.
super out of print. So I thank
Oh,
you for that, Dustin. I did play that up until a certain point, and then when I couldn't like beat the last guy, I stopped playing it for a little bit.
Oh, you went hard. Play the original American McGee's Alice. That thing was insane.
I tried that. It is insanely for its originality. It's actually pretty like funky, and it's enjoyable.
World building's excellent. But yeah, I beat both of them. But yeah, there's
yeah, there's my
that's how you were
Outer
playing
Worlds PS4. I did pick that up, so that I could at least attempt to try to tell you whether I was enjoying it or not. Then I have this, the 8-Bit Adventure Anthology, which I bought it for Deja Vu. That was the game that I had on Nintendo, and I so hope that they do more volumes of this for the PS4 system. This also has Shadowgate and Uninvited. They're all fairly similar to each other.
Is that limited run on the? Is that done by Limited Run? The
yes,
release with the
it
physical?
is done by Limited Run.
I'll go see some of that tonight too.
But I also got. I couldn't find it right offhand, but I also have the Limited Run edition of the Castlevania collection.
That is pretty cool. I missed out on that before, so now it's like super pricey.
It was $70, and I could throw it at it on eBay for the PS4 version. I also ended up picking this up at GameStop for like cheap. Hunt Showdown. It's kind of like a point of view type thing, where you're going in and shooting, I think, like zombie-like creatures. And speaking of zombies, I did have to go pick up Stubbs the Zombie. This is like the most romantic story I have ever played.
I have that on Xbox.
Huh?
I need to get that remaster. I have the original one for the original Xbox. I paid $15 for it at a pawn shop, and at the time it was worth $60.
But yeah, Stubbs the Zombie, Rebel Without a Pause is definitely a classic RPG game, and I played it on CP. Like they had an actual version of it on Steam at one point in time, and you could play it on computer. So that was how I got interested in it. Another one that I picked up, which I bought, what was it? Dishonored. Dishonored, the games dealing with Dishonored. and also the definitive one with extra stuff. And this was one of the games that ended up coming with it, or not coming with it, but I ended up buying four games for $20. And
That's a pretty game.
this is the Order 1886. And I guess it's kind of interesting for a little bit.
Very
Next,
short.
I picked up Tomb Raider.
Ah, very cool.
I guess this is the definitive edition. I beat that game not too long ago, so that was kind of cool. And my latest game, I don't know, I'm fucking around with it, is Maneater.
That looks like so much fun. I've got it. I just haven't gotten into it yet. I need to get the DLC because I want to be in a Twilight Shark.
I've 100% of that game except for the DLC, and it is very fun. It's great.
It really is. I mean, the shark can upgrade, and it starts looking archaic and almost dinosaurific.
I've gotten all the evolution sets, and they are pretty nice. I think what was my favorite one? I think the electric set was the best one.
Yeah, I really like that set. But
Although when you mix and match,
that's it for right now. Come back to me if you have anything else to show. I've got one more thing to show off, and Dustin probably knows what it is.
Then I will end with you, and I'm going to just run through these. I got a pile of Switch games. But I think some of these Ron actually be able to contribute to because you've had a lot of experience with older Nintendo, the NES. Am I right? Oh, well, at least I think he has. So this first one is a limited run. Matter of fact, I got a lot of limited run stuff in this. I really like this game when I played it on the Vita, and I wanted to get a larger screen version of it. And when I heard that there were both games being released, I had to get them. And that was the Axiom Verge collection, which has both of these on it. I really liked the first one. It felt a lot like Super Metroid comeback. So it felt like it really was an awesome throwback to that. I'm not sure about the second one. But for those of you who really like Metroid style games, this is definitely worth a pickup. It's probably one of the better ones out there. And I have mixed feelings on Limited Run, but I am grateful that they are bringing some of these to physical. And I love collecting for the Switch. Oh, all right. Well, actually, I guess that will be that. Now, this next one is one that is a remastering of a classic, which is Chrono Cross Radical Dreamers Edition. I don't know how many of y'all played the original Chrono Cross on PlayStation back in the day. I never did. I never got to play it. And it was supposed to be a sequel to Chrono Trigger, though I heard it has hardly any relation to it. But there was something that did connect it and did this visual novel sort of thing that connected the two called Radical Dreamers, which is why it's called the Radical Dreamer Edition, because it has that full game on there that connects it. So I do look forward to opening this and doing it, and I'm hoping for an inevitable Chrono Trigger remastering and placing back onto a physical cart for current systems. Because Chrono Trigger is probably one of the better, not the best, I'm not like one of those that says the best RPGs of all time, but it was probably one of the better SNES RPGs. I don't know if you're still there, Ron, but did you play either of this or Chrono Trigger?
Yeah, I played Chrono Trigger. I loved Chrono Trigger. It was one of my favorite RPGs.
So this might be something that might come on your radar if you ever get towards the Switch.
What system is it for?
It is for the Switch.
I'll never have a Switch.
But it is kind of cool when you got the when you're talking about old Nintendo and these properties. Of course, this was a PlayStation, but still, it is a cool throwback game. Now, this one is a special edition I got. I picked it up for really cheap, and I watched a YouTuber talk about it on RPGs that he actually finds are hidden gems in a way, which I didn't realize that until after I got it. And that is the Cruel King and the Great Hero Storybook Edition here. And it's a pretty cool thing. I don't know how many people out there really love a good turn-based RPG. I've heard it's kind of got sort of a Paper Mario or Mario RPG style when it comes to this. But I do love how NIS America does their releases. I mean, look at that. That is really cool as far as the manual is concerned. I love that. It's not as cool as the one Dustin had, but this is still a very cool manual. Considering I got this for $30, it's actually really neat. And you do get I do get the soundtrack, which is pretty cool. And the thing that takes the bulk of it is a little plushie. What you get? I will probably end up keeping it in the box, which is a sad thing, but the game itself I keep on my shelf because I do plan on playing it when I get tired of doing some stuff. I've actually recently decided to try out Cyberpunk now that they've fixed a lot of the bugs. Not all, but a lot. So I can finally start playing it. But this is the actual game itself. It's a pretty cool looking game. It has sort of a hand-drawn style. And I've gotten to really like that hand-drawn kind of animation style in games. Now this is one that got banned in Australia, of all places, which was Disco Elysium. This is the final cut. I believe it's an isometric RPG. If any of y'all actually do know, let me know on that one because I cannot remember. It does have a little poster with it. It's not a big thing, but it's kind of cool to have. It's kind of a cyberpunky feel to it. This one also was extremely cheap at the time at GameStop, so I said, you know what, I'll just grab it up. Because I like a good RPG now and again. It definitely looks like an isometric RPG there. So one that I know that Ron probably has played back in the NES days. Did you play the NES Double Dragons?
I played it on Nintendo and I played them on the arcade.
So this is the Double Dragon and Kunio-kun Retro Brawler bundle, which, if you really like those old school, this is actually available on the PlayStation for those who have it, and Xbox. It's actually widely available digitally, but I like having this on the Nintendo system. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 games on it.
Wow, dude, that's crazy. How much you pay for that one?
I got it on a limited run for $35, and it's much cheaper digitally when you catch it on a sale.
Wow, that's crazy.
And it has the ones I used to play a lot. Most of them are the Japanese games in the Kunio-kun series, which most people know for River City Ransom, if you're familiar with that series. The two that I played that we played probably as just anybody in America that had an NES at the time played would be River City Ransom and Dodgeball. I don't know what it was about Dodgeball that had me playing it again and again, but I loved that one. And River City Ransom has been fun. But also it has Renegade, which that one was.
Renegade. I played it.
I liked it. I liked it because at the time I'd only played the original Double Dragon on NES, and you could throw people.
Yeah, it was a fun little game.
But it also has the first 3 NES Double Dragon games on here. And I love Double Dragon 1, it's just a classic, but Double Dragon 2 was one of my favorite NES brawlers.
I never played 3, so that'd be new to me.
And I also picked this one up from Best Buy because I just wanted to have it consistently, which was Double Dragon 4. I've heard it's terrible, but if you were a huge fan of the NES Double Dragons, that this one did come across as a pretty adequate sequel to that.
Yeah, I even had a TV show. Wasn't that good, but.
Oh, and a movie, live action film.
And I think maybe a cartoon as well.
Now, I went ahead and with Play Asia, I did go ahead and I got a double pack. I got a couple of these games from them to go ahead and archive them physically on current systems. And this one I thought was kind of a cool double pack, which was the Final Fantasy 7 and 8 double pack. Both of them come with the updates, standard of living updates for both games, which is good, especially for Final Fantasy 8 because that game is grindy as all get out, where you're having to do the draw system. I never liked 8, but I need to give it another try. I've beaten 8.
I hated 8. I never even beat it. I got a computer when I was playing it. I probably would have beat it first, but I couldn't stand all the side quests. It was just the side shit. Not the side quest, but you know, because you're gonna play the casino, you're gonna do this, and you're gonna do that, you're gonna do the races, and all this other shit. And I was like, you know what? It's fun if they have it there for me, if I want to do it. But if make me do it to go for the story, pisses me off.
Oh, yeah. A lot of card game. You had to play that card game a lot. And if you didn't like the card game, you were kind of stuck. But I liked 7 a lot. I didn't like it. It's not my favorite like a lot of people's, but I did like 7.
It's my favorite. Have you played the reboot? I mean, I fucking love it.
I have played I played the reboot. I do prefer the old one, but it's not a bad game. It's fairly decent action RPG.
I love it, and I got it for like $20. So when it was still pretty much brand new, because I went to GameStop, and sure enough, they had it, and I had a $20 gift card, and then there was some kind of sale or something. So I ended up paying like $20 for a basically $60 game. When it was only like maybe 2 weeks old. Well, I knew somebody would have it at GameStop. It's just the way it is, No matter how new a game is, someone will put it in there. I never do that shit. I never sell games.
Now we'll say these are worth archiving. I do feel like just to have copies of them. I eventually hope that the Pixel Perfect collections do come to consoles, and so that I can get 1 through 6, maybe on a limited run card or something like that when they come out. I also got 9, and they did some work remastering that one a little bit, and again, quality of life improvements. A lot of people used to hate 9. I remember when it came out, people would just talk about how terrible it was because it wasn't like 7 and 8. And I was like, nah, man, this one looks better than any of the PlayStation 1 era Final Fantasies, but I also love that they returned to the roots of the fantasy thing.
Yeah, I never played 9, but I probably would love it.
And it's very much not less in the customizable nature, but they are very. I mean, each one of them has a character class, and
more like 1.
Yeah.
I loved 1.
And I also like this cover that you have here.
Yeah.
So one I actually did a Kickstarter for, which is an RPG. I had forgotten about it because years had passed, like you know how a Kickstarter is. They say, "Oh, go by this time." Then 5 years later, "Oh, we by the way completed it."
I've never actually done a Kickstarter, but I came. I did. It was like a Kickstarter.
Mhm.
It was EQ Next, and they had EQ Landmark, and you buy into Landmark, and I did pay a little bit extra to help out for EQ Next and Landmark, and I got some free stuff for doing that. I don't remember. I think I paid like 50 instead of the normal 25 or something. I don't remember. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, some people could pay like 100 and something. They got their name put in the game, or at least that's what was said. EQ Next never happened. Sony sold it to Daybreak, and Daybreak say like, yeah, this ain't happening, and killed it. Basically, I guess they got in over their head. They promised EQ Next was going to be this big thing where the NPCs would react to what you were doing and attack your towns and all this like AI crap that really sound, obviously any nerd would be like, yeah, that's fucking awesome. But they just weren't up there with the technology yet, and they thought they were, and that's what they were trying to sell. But yeah, it didn't work out. So now they're gonna do an EQ3, the new company, but it's not gonna be anything like what the Sony had said they were gonna do.
This one did actually complete, which was Inkenfell. It's okay. It's not the greatest thing I've seen, but it's a fun little pixel art RPG that kind of has a Harry Potter-esque feel. You're a person whose sister ended up going to a magic school like Harry Potter, and then she didn't have any magic, so she goes to find her sister and finds out that she has magic powers of her own. So she tries to figure out what happened to the school, the students, and her sister, of course. So it's kind of a cool little
Good
game.
times.
I need to get back into it again.
Sounds kind of cool. I mean,
It has a good story to it, definitely, and the combat
graphics
system-
though, the graphics are kind of like.
Oh yeah, this is like this is
I
probably
can't
the,
really
like
see closely.
16-bit era graphics. But if you get a chance, you can look up the name. Definitely, you'll see screenshots of it.
Is there a PlayStation version or is it just
Oh, it's on PlayStation. It is on PlayStation and Xbox.
Because that's definitely one thing. I don't know a lot of RPGs for PS4 these days, and so like RPGs, I can definitely do. I can play. You don't need two hands for an RPG. You know, so
Yeah, true enough.
even action RPGs, I can do pretty well. Just I can't play them as long. But yeah, I mean, at least I played EverQuest 2 for 15 years, and like 10 of it, I had one hand. So.
Did you know that Square actually created a one-handed RPG controller?
Yeah, I have a one-handed controller, but it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah.
Isn't quite as easy to do as one would hope.
Turn-based definitely makes it a little bit easier.
Oh yeah, totally. So I said role playing is easy as hell. I mean, like I said, even action RPG isn't as hard as I mean, I beat the first world of Fallen Order, and if anyone played that game, it's a tough game, and even that first planet is a bit tough, especially with one hand. I mean, you go and try to bounce across those walls and just do it with one hand and see what I went through a little bit, and you're like, wow. Because I had to toot my own horn, but that was tough. It took me a while to get
It
through.
is a cool looking game, to be
Oh,
sure.
it is super. And the second one's coming out. I'll probably buy it just because I love it, and I don't know how much I'll actually play it, but I'm gonna own it. So Star Wars stuff is the one thing that I buy even if I don't need it or whatever. It's just because I want it. It's a want thing.
So I'm gonna speed up a little bit because I want to get done before we have to do the anime discussion, which will be between now and 9:15. So we're gonna move a little bit quicker. but I went ahead and I got the Legend of Mana game from PlayAsia,
Oh,
so
I
I could
love
have
that
it.
game.
And they did a remastering of it. You can buy it on all the current systems now, but it was on the PlayStation. I didn't beat it at the time that it was originally out, but it had a kick-ass soundtrack. So I look forward to coming back and checking this
I
out.
beat the original version.
So then this is more just a completionist thing because it came back in stock. It was out of stock for the longest time. You couldn't get a physical. And that's Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes. I'm glad to see that this came back in stock because it was going for a crap ton of money. I've got the first two No More Heroes games on physical, and I got the third one when it came out. They're just fun games, and this completes the series for me. It's a pretty bloody mess of a game, though this one I have heard not so good things about. I've heard the game mechanics just aren't very solid for most of it. And another PlayStation remaster, which also is on most systems, is the original Saga Frontier, which I'm not sure how I feel about the new art style because it looked almost like claymation art style when on the PlayStation, and this is more cartoony, but I did really enjoy it. It takes getting used to, and it's a much harder turn-based RPG to get into. But it falls off the Saga series of games. So if you like those the Final Fantasy Legend ones on Game Boy, you'd probably like this particular one. And I'd wanted this for a while, so I'm glad to get this physical from PlayAsia. This is one that was a very limited run, but from Super Rare Games, and that was Superliminal. This is one that I like to play just as a when I get the chance, and I just don't want to play anything that's a little mind-teasing, but not something that I'm like constantly shooting things at. This is a great one for just some weird puzzles. This is all about perspectives, changing perspectives, and you can change perspective to change the size of objects and use that to solve puzzles. It's a really neat puzzle game, a very Inception style. If you like puzzles, this is a great game for you. Also on all systems.
I like Tetris. That was about the end of my puzzle games.
Actually,
I remember the first time I looked at it. My friend had it. And I was like, oh, this is that. So I'm playing it. And I'm like, this game is stupid. I'm still playing it, mind you. This game is stupid. and I kind of got addicted to it. And I'm like, still saying this game is stupid, but it was just like, wow, fucking game's addictive. That and I like Dr. Mario, which is basically the same thing but Mario version of Tetris. They had a bunch of other versions of Tetris.
Yeah.
Never really liked them as much. Pretty much Tetris and Dr. Mario were the two I liked of that. I've never been a real big puzzle person, so for me to like the video game versions, has to be something special.
Tetris Effect is a newer release of it that really hit some cool visuals in that type of system. But if you get distracted easily, it's kind of more of a detriment. But it is kind of fun to. It is a fun.
You have high levels in Tetris. You can't get distracted for a second.
Now I'm down to my last two. This one. I'm gonna put this back up here. There we go. This one I had wanted for a while because I'd heard it was fun, which is one I think that Jake would like, since he's sitting there in the audience, which is Tokyo Mirage Sessions, which involves a lot of stuff like idol groups, and it's a turn-based RPG.
Let me guess, it's subtitled.
Cool.
I think you can. I don't know if it has the original Japanese script in it, but it is a game that was edited, unfortunately.
You said Jake liked it, so figured it had to be subtitled.
Of course.
Sorry, Jake, had to throw you under the bus there.
It's I don't know whether it has the original Japanese soundtrack, but I'm sure that it does. It had a couple of things cut from the original Japanese version, which is sad. But this made it to the Switch from the Wii U, and I was told it was a kick-ass RPG. And if you like anime and music style anime and fantasy style RPGs, this is one that you would like.
I don't like anime, but I love RPGs, so that alone, if I had it, I would try it. Just because I love RPGs. And it's anime doesn't bother me as much when it's like a video game. Because I'm not watching. I mean, I'm watching it, but I'm playing too, so I'm not just watching it. Anime by itself, I'm just not as big of a fan. Obviously, there's some exceptions, but yeah. But as a video game, it's still a little different. I wouldn't mind it as much, as long as I can read it in English.
Oh yeah, I think that the voice acting, I think that they definitely do have a voice acting in English for this, but I don't know.
Don't know.
100%. The last one is for those of you who really like games like Final Fantasy Tactics.
Oh, that game was great.
This is by a studio that Square Enix has hired out. They did a previous game that was kind of a Final Fantasy VI throwback. It paid homage to a lot of the old pixel art, turn-based RPGs. And this one is just as epic. And we're talking the game Triangle Strategy. I've heard so many good things about it. I played the demo. It is a lot of fun. There's a lot of intrigue, a lot of politics. It uses that same 2D/3D feel, so it kind of looks like a 2D game, but it has some 3D backgrounds which pop out. And it's really a neat thing. You kind of have to play Octopath Traveler. That's the game.
I haven't heard of it, but it sounds pretty freaking cool.
Now, Octopath is... I know that they got Octopath is available on PC as well as Switch and Xbox. So it's if you like the old school RPGs like FF6 and Saga Frontier, you would like Octopath. And this one, I'm sure, will take the same leaps in the future when their exclusivity with Switch is ended. Everybody tells me that if you love Final Fantasy Tactics, this is the game to get. So
yeah, I definitely love Final Fantasy Tactics. That game was awesome.
So I will definitely go. I've had some people tell me, yeah, I'm on my 4th playthrough of this. And I'm like, man, to do that, it takes a lot of effort.
Yeah, I pretty much, I don't go back to games. I've always played and beat them. I mean, the first time I heard of an MMO, I'm like, how could I play one game for years? I play a game and beat it and I'm done, you know? Like, that's how I played. And then, surprisingly, I got into MMOs and for a long time. And then I was like, I kind of miss playing consoles because, Final Fantasy VIII I never finished and then I just stopped. And that was it. I didn't play PlayStation 2 or anything for a lot of years. It was just nothing. Wasn't even thinking about consoles, for a long time. I was just all up into the MMOs and Diablo and then EverQuest 1 and 2 and Star Wars Galaxies and then a bunch of other games. I've checked out all MMOs. So, yeah, I got heavily into those and hadn't gone I ended up playing PlayStation 2 for a little bit. Never played 3. Then finally, when I decided, I want consoles again, I went and bought the PS4. Just because I finally decided I wanted 2 games. I do have Wii for a while too. That I bought that because I figured it might help with my hand and stuff, which it did. And I played the Harry Potter on it and a few other games and stuff, and it's kind of fun. I like the Wii.
See, I, on the other hand, often play games but don't beat them.
Well, they're a lot harder now to beat like than they used to be. They're definitely a lot harder to beat. Yeah, I'm not anywhere near that level I used to be. I mean, Nintendo, I probably beat. I lost count, but definitely over 100 games. And other systems. I mean, I'd pick up a game and beat it. just the way it was.
Yeah, I have about a dozen games I still need to finish. Yeah.
Well, I have now this just on top of it alone, so I can definitely say. And Elden Ring is another one that's going to be on that. Oh, I'll get to it later. Pile.
I'm thinking about Elden Ring. I've thought about possibly getting that game for my PC.
I've got Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes I gotta beat. I've got Life is Strange Before the Storm. I've got a couple of Lovecraft games. I think there are things I can knock out like in a day a piece, but it's like, there's a lot.
Well, Dave, you had something to end us on, so I'll just go ahead and give the floor to you.
Alrighty, I'm going to go through these as quick as I can because I have a lot to show. I'm going to show everything I've gotten since I've gotten the PS4 from you. There was a stack of like PS4 games that were. I'm not really a sports fan, not really. Like I'll play them, but I didn't have any of that in my collection. So I ended up picking up Madden 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20.
Of what? I can't.
That's
see
a
that.
lot of Madden.
Oh yeah. See, I liked Nintendo Sports, like NES, the original. After that, I didn't like sport games anymore because I'm not into sports, so they were too realistic.
14, 15, 16, 17, and 19 NBA 2K19.
Whew.
They're actually fun to watch people play because it's like almost like watching the real thing.
Oh, it's like watching the real thing now, but yeah.
MLB 15, the show 16, the MVP edition, and just the regular show 16 and the show 17, just for the fuck of it. Now these all came into like the same stack, you know. And then I also got in that same pile NHL 15, UFC, and a wrestling W2K18
Now I do own a wrestling game. I do like wrestling, so
I think was 18 the last really good one that they did. I know that 2K20 was
I
terrible.
think I have 19. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I tried playing that for a little bit. I liked it for the most part. The graphics were pretty cool, at least at the time that I played it. All right. The first game that I bought after I bought the Xbox One from you, Dustin, was Mortal Kombat 11. Never showed it in the video, so
They're up to 11. Holy shit!
Yeah,
I remember
they're
one.
up to more than that, I think. All right, so Brandon, of course, you know this came with the PS4. This is Star Wars Battlefront because
I love that game.
it's
I love that
the
game.
Star Wars Deluxe Edition of PS4. You ended up sending me Dragon Quest. What is it? 11?
Oh, I love Dragon Quest. Oh, I love Dragon Warrior.
I was playing that for a little bit. Then I think I picked this up at a used store. This is Destiny.
How is that one?
I started to play it, but then I got interested in something else at the time, and then this was something that you sent along on one of your extravagant givings. Dragon Ball Fighter Z. I have played that. That was cool. And then you also sent me Neo.
Neo's good. That's a Dark Souls inspired.
But then I also went out and bought Neo 2.
I've heard that's way better.
just to complete that whole thing. Now, I believe these two right here were GameStop pickups that I ended up just buying them. Dying Light and The Last of Us.
The Last of Us, amazing game.
Ended up picking up Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5 at one of the Walmart Black Friday sales. Of course, this was the first game that I picked up.
Awesome.
My own. Actually,
yeah.
I want that game.
I got it from you.
I gave you that one, yeah. Yeah, I sold you that one. That was a good game.
While I was with Dustin one time, I ended up picking up Until Dawn and Bloodborne. Bloodborne is just, I don't know. It's
Bloodborne's
not
hard, but it's good.
Entirely. Then, of course, I mentioned the Dishonored trilogy. You've got the Dishonored, Death of the Outsider. This is the third one. Then you got the Dishonored, the definitive collection, edition where you can actually play them like more than one player. You couldn't on the PS3. And Dishonored 2, and then a PS4 game called Evolved. Any questions so far?
That game is a lot like the a similar concept to some of the ones like Dustin was presenting with Evil Dead, but that one fell on its face.
And I saved the best for last. I picked this up for Dustin. I won't say how much I paid for it, but this is part of the definitive steelbook edition of God of War, and I've got this big box right here.
That is I have heard that is an epic game.
It's an epic sized box, it looks like.
Yeah.
And it comes quite a lot. So I'll try to go through this really fast. So there's, of course, a map that comes with it. Haven't even opened it. Some stuff here, which I haven't even opened per se, which I don't think I'm about to yet. And I'll just
be careful taking the statue out of there. It's a little fragile.
Yep. It is fragile. All right. It comes like this. Alrighty. And I hesitate to take the plastic off of it because I want to keep it in one condition, but that cool statue comes with it.
Nice.
And it's really great storytelling.
Yeah, I love the original Game of War, God of War.
But that concludes my stuff that I wanted to show with you. Do you guys have any questions?
Well, I do thank you, though, for y'all for coming on this time and joining me for our kind of epic video game pickup. It'll probably be some time before I will do another one because I don't do these very often. But I know to save up, and I got a good group to be on with next time we do this. But again, thank you all very much. Of course, I'm going to quickly throw out, of course, if you want to see more of Ron and Dave and Dustin and Jake, all of us, you should check out some Delusions of Grandeur and Inside Movies Galore. Matter of fact, I'll switch back to myself here. Of course, if you want to see more of Dustin, you should check out Crypt of Horrors on YouTube. He's been uploading a lot of cool stuff, or Dirk Reptaxis on, I believe it's Twitter, which, again, great for collectors. He also has an Instagram. What was your Instagram, Dustin? Oh, all right.
It was Crypto Horrors as well, I believe.
Okay, and of course, well, if you don't know where to find Jake, just then I don't know what to say.
I'm
You're on the same
here.
channel. Yeah, so you're on that channel, so I don't know. But I do thank you all for coming on, and of course, if you can, give this a like, hit that subscribe, and share, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Maybe on the next one I'll have some pickups as well.
Bye.